You see, you're worried about this, isn't there? Why? It's just a bunch of friends and a laugh. How good is that? So, welcome everybody to Speak Up Monday. Here on Monday, the Monday before New Year.
Yes.
This
is what I
That's an auspicious occasion. You're setting us up for a year of huge success in 2020.
Yes.
You know, so I'm glad we're going to get to do this now. Okay. You know, this is awesome. So Tanya, I'm sure you've all read about her. I'll let her introduce herself anyway, and you can tell us a little bit about you. And this session is designed around being like a practice presentation for you, but more of a Q&A for us.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it's great because then you get to go anywhere where you feel like going. No one here is keeping track. So you just go exactly where you want to go.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah. And I rely on you to ask me questions, you know, and I'm happy to answer anything that comes up that's of interest for you.
Well, you've got the two most questioning people here. Yeah. One is Adrian, and the other one is me.
There's Tanya.
Oh my God. Well, and Stanya doesn't mind asking a question or two either. She's not shy.
And your name was Lindsay.
Yeah.
That's sweet too.
All right. Well, look, I'll get this kicked off. So it's every Monday Speak Up, as we know, and we don't stop. We keep going. It's number 35 or something like that. And if you feel like you'd like to do a Speak Up, and that could be presented, or it could be as a Q&A, as we're about to do today, please feel free to drop or leave your number or your details just over here, and we'll follow you up and get you in. So what usually happens is around 6:30 people arrive, maybe grab some food, chill out, meet if you have a chat, and by 7 o'clock, 7:15, we're ready to start the Speak Up. That goes for around about 45 minutes, half an hour to an hour, basically. And then we have a Q&A session or section afterwards, where people can basically ask questions. There you go. Yeah. This one's going to be a Q&A the whole way through, so we don't have to wait for the good stuff.
Oh, I think
the good stuff is all the way through from start to finish. Yeah. So I think that's part of it. And then later on, Tanya will be here too. We close at 9 o'clock, so Tanya can be here hanging out, asking some other or answering some other questions that you may have. And before we introduce Tanya, just want to say thank you for doing this, girl, and thank you for overcoming any obstacle that was in your way, perhaps. Not like another one who wanted to leave the country on a plane. I don't think you quite.
No, but I had to hop on the track because my car wouldn't start.
Yeah, that's right. Her car wouldn't start. Flat battery. Welcome, Gideon, coming to have a seat, mate. You know, so you almost got hit with it. You know, how interesting.
Yeah, almost got away.
Come and sit. Gideon's okay. Just sit over there. He's all right. Gideon, over there. Pull up a chair. All right, now Gideon's here. So I'll get us started. Tanya, I'm going to let you give us a little bit of an intro to yourself and how you've come to be here and do the work that you do. All right. So, but before we do that, we're going to get these guys over here to give us a round of applause. So everyone, a round of applause for Tanya. All right, La Tuseca. So I'll pass over to you, Tanya. And remember, guys, Q&A. This is not waiting for Q&A, but still, if you put your hand up or just chime in whenever you feel like it.
Yeah. So I guess I just share a little bit what I'm doing. So my name is Tanya. I'm German. I live in Bali since 15 years. And I'm a hypnotherapist, breathwork facilitator, and a core energetics therapy student in my last year. So I have clients already, but still under supervision of a senior therapist. And maybe just say a couple of words to each modality, like what it is about and how it can help people to heal. And what I found out is the most important modality to heal, which is basically none of the schools or what you do, but it's more the relationship you have to the person you sit with, because that is the biggest healing tool I found is like being with each other and having each other's presence and undisturbed attention to be able to express all emotions that come up. Because I think there is no bad emotion, there's only like labeling on emotions that we think, oh no, this is not appropriate to be expressed, or I shouldn't say that, I shouldn't feel that. Like usually we're even ashamed of feeling certain feelings, but feelings don't ask us, you know, they're just there. They come up and it's our job to deal with them. And in therapy, whatever modality you use, it's basically opening the room and the space and invite to share whatever feeling is there, to acknowledge it, to accept it, and to release it in a safe way. Because sometimes if what we perceive like negative feelings or the rejection of that feeling can express itself in almost violent urges, but we can live that in hitting a cube or kicking or pushing, even against each other, but just make sure that all this happens in a safe environment to release the negative emotion, to create more space for something better to come in. And the modalities I work with is hypnotherapy, which can release emotions, but hypnotherapy is more getting your whole persona into a very relaxed state of mind, so that you pull away the veil between your conscious and your subconscious mind, and the subconscious holding everything you don't want to know about yourself. Basically, like you would rather not know, you would rather not feel, so you just push it down. With the hypnotherapy, you allow yourself to pull that veil away and just witness what's happened, because our subconscious just stores everything we have ever seen, ever experienced, ever heard in our entire life. And you're just relaxed enough to just be the witness of going back in timeline, being the witness of what happened, and connecting dots to why you might feel awkward now, why you might stumble over the same things again and again. It's basically like tracking the virus in a computer system and seeing where the virus is, like mending it, and then you don't have to repeat again and again the same story, because this is what our system does. If we cannot finish an emotional response to whatever happened to us, we keep that computer window open and maybe try something different and try a new solution, so open more windows and forget closing them. And what all modalities do is like closing the window. So by hypnotherapy, we go back to the root cause of whatever happened, have a look at that, connect the dots, say, oh, okay, this is why I reacted like that in the first place, we can close that window. And with that one window, a lot of other windows close too, and we don't have to start repeating the same story again and again. Next modality is breathwork. I love breathwork. I'm very passionate about breathwork. It's with breathing, conscious and connected, and it's called transformational breathwork. We bring a lot of energy into the body. And with raising the energy level in the body, we hit on anything that we're suppressing. So it's always about like what we suppress, to bring up what we suppress and just give it the attention and the appreciation that it deserves. Yeah, because it's all about experiences. There are no good or bad experiences. We just learn. We cannot go wrong anywhere. We just learn. We keep on experiencing and collecting data. So with breathwork, you kind of tackle any held up tension in the body. It might be physical, in your muscles, it's toxicity in your cells, yeah, that's also suppressed emotional content. This leads into trauma. Like trauma is, we can release long-held trauma in the body because we don't hold trauma in our brains, we hold it in our bodies. We stop breathing and we tense up, so we have to hold the emotions down. And trauma is not what happened to us, but our unresolved emotional response to what happened, our unfinished emotional response. So we couldn't express what we were really feeling at that moment, so we pushed it down. We couldn't run away, we couldn't discuss it, we couldn't fight it, so we had to freeze it, or the fourth option is actually to faint, to just like go away or dissociate. This is also what we often do, we just kind of dissociate from our body so that we don't feel it, we forget, we just like put it somewhere and just not confront ourselves with it. Breath work brings all that stuff up. And you can release without going into the story. You can just let go of the emotional kind of tension in your body. But to actually really heal, I believe that we should also connect the dots. So this is where I join the hypnotherapy and the breath work. And the last tool I use, and I'm still a student of, is core energetics psychotherapy, which is a really deep modality to get access to our core, to our real being, which we rarely ever show to the world and which we often don't even really know ourselves, because our defense systems are unconscious. So we start building defense systems around our core, our real being, when our needs, when we are still little, like overmet or undermet, when we are not really completely fulfilled in what we rightfully need when we grow up. So if we have a need of to be really welcomed into this world, we have a need of to be cared for, to be loved, to be cherished, to be nurtured, not only by food, but also by emotions, by this welcoming attention. We have a need for support in learning to expand, to grow into ourselves in a safe environment, and what else, in an uncriticized, supportive environment. So if these needs are not fulfilled or met with, how do you say, resistance of your environment, we kind of withdraw these needs and store them somewhere else and think it's our fault that we did something which was not alright, and we put on a mask. We just like pretend it's okay, but it's not. So we build something which is called character structure, and we store the negative feelings which we have around this theme deep inside. But any time in our life when something kind of similar comes up, kind of this similar energy around it, this stuff comes up again, and then we go into this survival modus of just replaying what helped us the first time, and just like stuffing it down and doing what was appropriate then but might not be appropriate now. So what we're doing in this therapy, we kind of going down to that mask, open it up, show it, make it conscious, release it, so that your real core, your real you can start shining. Right, that's core energetics, and that's what I do. So, and I kind of also like all senior therapists I've heard, or hypnotherapist Milton Erickson, says it's not the technique or the tools we heal with. It's you actually invent a new therapy for each client. You just have to go through the relationship, like we're relational beings. We have to meet and see what works and create a field where we can actually express our deepest feelings. And once we're allowed to do that, healing happens automatically. Our bodies know what their highest state is. If you cut your finger, your body knows what to do and what to go back to. So if we have the permission to heal in a safe environment where we don't have the need to be defensive, we heal. And as relational beings, we all heal together. Yeah, that's my 5 pence. I'm ready for question and answer.
Wow, that's a great description. So the question that comes up for me is that so each one of those modalities, of which you mentioned 3, they're all really good at kind of helping us to get back to a natural state. For us to, the stuff on the surface is maybe caused by something that happened to us a long time ago. And for example, with hypnotherapy, that seems to be quite a quick way to get straight to the cause of it.
Yes.
And once that cause has been identified, then you clear it for life.
Yes. Yeah, but my belief around hypnotherapy is that you also have to go to the physical realm. You have to release it in the body also, because it's not enough to just understand what happened. Then talk therapy would be a very helpful tool, but it shows it's kind of only a half of the story. The other half is really how we hold the tension in the body, and so we have to connect the mind with the body to really get the full effect of healing. So to feel it in your body, where is it, and welcome it there. Just look at it and allow it to move.
Okay. And I'm sure it may be different for different things, but which types of situations is good for hypnotherapy to heal, or which type of situations are good for core energetics to heal?
Yeah. Right. I would think hypnotherapy is very good if you think so. I have certain things, I have this for a long time, and I really don't, and I know it must be from somewhere, but I just can't put my finger on it. And then I think hypnotherapy is an excellent tool to kind of just go back in timeline. It brings you back to where you're just feeling to your right hemisphere. So where this is also why you have a hypnotherapist. The hypnotherapist is actually there to bring you into a safe space where you can really relax and where you can drop into your right brain, where basically into your personal la-la land, right? Where it's all colors and emotions, and it's not linear, it's not structured. So this is why you have your hypnotherapist to lead you through the jungle. And it's good to have, for hypnotherapy, you have to have an issue. You have to have actually a problem. You have to come with something and say, look, this is what I get over again and again, and this is where I want to go. And the hypnotherapist takes your hand and leads you through the forest. He is actually your linear brain in that. You borrow a linear left brain to bring you through the forest.
And then something like a core energetics, what types of situations is that really good for?
To really release, if you have negative belief systems, if you really think like this is not working for me, like I had anger issues. This is basically how I came to core. I couldn't control my anger. I was just the lid was blowing up, and then I couldn't get the lid back on, right? I was like severe. And it's inherently we are we are loving beings. We just have to feel safe enough to go there, and a lot of us don't feel safe enough to really be themselves. So yeah, anything where you have repetitive stories where I think I've seen that all before, and I see myself running and jumping against the wall, and I can't stop myself from doing repetitive patterns in your life where I think parts where it doesn't work for you. I think it just doesn't work that way. I want to improve myself, and core energetic therapy is actually, even for people who have a good life and everything is working, it's improving your capacity to love. This is what core energetic therapy is about. To be yourself.
And then the final one, so we've done core energetics?
Breathwork. Breathwork is very good for trauma release, physical trauma release, and for anxiety. It's a very good tool to get a handle on anxiety. Also, if you kind of practice breathwork on a regular basis, you will have the tool handy when you need it. You will have, when you start getting into a feeling like, oh, something is off here, and you know how to breathe, you can calm yourself, like prolonged exhale, really calm your fight, flight, freeze, your kind of reptilian brain that's kind of not responding to talking. This is just responding to action or actually to physical touch. It's enhancing your mood, it really relaxes. It's a very good everyday tool to just let go of like regular emotional build-up.
So then, as I think some people here would love as well, a couple of tools to kind of take home. Yeah. So I think, you know, a lot of people experience, even though we live in a beautiful place, you know, anxiety, yeah, stress, yeah, nervous tension, maybe down or being depressed or something like that. So which, and this is like a tool now, right? So which type of breath work could you teach us that could help to relieve one or some of those situations?
Yeah, I would like to maybe share two like very simple kind of tools in breath. One is a diaphragmatic breathing, which really calms the whole, on the chin, right? which calms your parasympathetic nervous system, so you just start relaxing, your brain gets the message, everything's fine, right? So it's going to calm you down, your whole system is going to relax. It's pretty easy, like you're just sitting comfortably, like either on a chair, or if you sit on the floor with your back on the wall straight, and you have like this, what we all have in Bali, this beautiful gulung, the sausage under your knees to support your knees, and just fold a little bit. But it's fine on a chair, so you sit comfortably on a chair, your abdomen folded, and then you exhale, contracting your abdominal muscles. So by contracting your abdominal muscles, your internal abdominal pressure that holds your organs in place is going to push towards the diaphragm pushes towards the lungs and squeezes the air out. Exhale. When you're after that, you just relax your abdominal muscles. The internal abdominal pressure goes down, diaphragm goes down with it, and the lungs start unfolding because they are like sponges. So when you exhale and push towards, release the air, they kind of get squashed. Once you relax your abdominal muscles, we do it in a minute, they kind of relax again and suck the air in without you actively having to do anything. So I found that the easiest way to breathe. So we can do that together. So you squeeze your abdominal muscles, and while squeezing, you See how air automatically wants to come in, but it has to. Relaxing your shoulders, relaxing your abdominal muscles. Automatically the air comes back. So after a couple of breaths, you should realize that your brain is kind of calming down, your thoughts just like disappear. Actually, your mind gets a lot more quiet. We inhale a lot more oxygen when we breathe consciously than when we breathe unconsciously, so it's up to 50% more oxygen. More oxygen means more energy, means calmer mind, means more happiness. So if you do that, you can do that everywhere. You can do that in the traffic jam. You can do that riding your bike. You can do that having a cup of coffee. You can do that watching a movie. What you will realize that if you do it, like, you will experience feelings. Your mind will feel, or your body, your system will feel relaxed enough to allow itself to go out of the fight-flight modus and just say, oh, okay, we're relaxed, now we can actually let come up what's stored in the basement. And just let that happen. It's just like whatever emotion comes, just be there and reduce it to a purely physical sensation. We don't have to attach a story to it. We can just like experience the physical sensation in the body and let it go. Because this is how we reproduce our story again and again and again. If we attach story to certain physical sensations we are having in our body. That was one. The other one is, it's a really sweet one, and for me personally, it always enhances my mood, yeah. And just every, like, after this couple of breaths before, just like close your eyes, go inside, and just feel how you feel right now, inside, internally. Breathing in and out. And just observing your breath a little bit. And then you start breathing through your nose. It's called 20 connected. And it goes in 4 sets on 5 breaths. So you're breathing connected through your nose, in and out. Connected means you're not pausing between the inhale and the exhale. And you inhale and exhale 4 times, just normally, just your normal pace. And the 5th one is a full capacity breath. So you're inhaling and exhaling through the nose, connected. So you're not pausing between the inhale and the exhale. Start now. More times, and number 5 is full capacity breath. Inhale and exhale. Then you start the next round. 4 inhale and exhale normally. And number 5, full capacity. Just observe what's going on in your system. And 3rd round, 4 inhale and exhale. number 5, full capacity. And final round, number 1, 2, 3, 4, and number 5, full capacity. Just go back to your normal breathing. Just observe what's happening inside. Just stay with your feelings for a little bit. And just see how you feel more energized. Maybe we go a little round. You just share what you experienced before, after, in between and after the connected breathing.
So maybe I'll start. So definitely the calmness of mind, less thought. Yeah, I feel like a little bit clearer. Even now I can still feel that I'm not really ready to talk. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing it. Before I feel cluttered, and now it creates more space, and I'm very light. Like it's much brighter and clearer.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you. I nearly fell asleep. I'm in a bit of a food coma, so I got very relaxed, and I nearly fell asleep, and I saw colours just swirling around me, which was nice.
I almost didn't want to lift my hands to hold the mic because my hands were quite relaxed on my knees. I think my third eye is opening. I'm feeling tingling here. And during the breathing, I have a very busy mind, but thinking about the breath helped me to stop my mind racing, so it was good. Thank you.
Thanks for hosting. Actually, we do this every day. Like when we want to practice music, we use with different tone as well. Like we do and then also we take a lot, and then we and I noticed that oxygen actually like brings life, and we tend to miss that.
Death, basically. We don't know what is happening. We can't breathe. We get pushed into a really narrow pathway. We don't know if are we going to survive that or not. We have no idea what's happening. And then comes birth, like boom, we get kind of out there, and a complete new life starts, and our whole life, all of our experiences are kind of going in that circle, and our birth is the first time we actually have this circle. So whatever happens in this birthing process will be very relevant in how you experience and how you interpret life in later stages. And there's in the early breathwork, there's kind of stories around in a breathing session, everybody was getting really tired, and there was a really strong smell. And this lady goes through this birthing experience. I've actually seen it, that people kind of start twisting their heads and kind of doing movement and kind of narrowing their shoulders and turning their shoulders. It's really strange to witness. And in that particular story, the narcotics, the bottle of narcotics was kind of broken and spilled. like in her birthing process, and she was said to be very slow and always tired and couldn't move, and so we're replaying our birthing process again and again. If that doesn't really.
That explains it. Yeah.
That does explain it. I don't have the feeling it does.
But I guess then the follow-up question is then, what is the benefit of going through rebirthing? Is it to I guess come to terms with that traumatic experience and close that window?
Yes, to really release it from your physical system. Yeah, like also in core energetics and in breathwork, we encourage you to let your body move in any fashion it wants to move, or give it also receiving the physical support. Maybe you didn't get through the birthing process when you were taken away into an incubator. You know, that your first information was, there's nobody there for me, you know. Like, actually in hypnosis I had the experience that my anger issues came from being taken away from my mom. And I really, like what I saw, the pictures I saw, that they took me on my hand and feet and carried me away from my mom, and I was screaming on top of my lungs to say, no, sorry, this is not okay, bring me back. But they wouldn't react, so I got really, really, really angry. But still nothing happened. And I asked my hypnotherapist, I said, so was that true or not? And she said, that doesn't matter. Your subconscious, this is what your subconscious believes happens, and this is on what you run. This is the information you have to face life. Yeah, that it's like that you are taken away, that you are not kind of where you belong. And it's really a pattern I always had. I don't know where I belong.
Thank you.
So 2 questions come up. The first one is, I think it'd be great, because in the beginning you mentioned about the subconscious and it remembers everything, right? So if you go a little bit deeper into that's the first one. And the second one was that, because you've been doing this for a while, do you find there's any differences between men and women when it comes to maybe how to process stress, anxiety? Are there any common denominators that you found when working with men, or any common denominators when you've been working with women? So I'll let you answer that question in whichever way it falls.
I would think that, like in breathwork, what I say in breathwork, that the pent-up emotions that are coming up by giving energy to the system. For women, it's easier to let them go. For women, it seems to be easier to cry because it's socially more acceptable to shed tears. Like men are more like, cannot do that. But once we get permission and get encouraged and say, this is what we're actually looking for here, I don't see a huge difference between how men and women process their emotions once the valve is open and the emotions flow, they flow. Like, I don't see a difference. Yeah. And the first question was? Oh, the subconscious, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I found a very interesting fact I learned is that we don't store memory in timelines, but by emotional intensity. So we, and this is also why when things get a little out of control, like we lose control of everything because all the other stuff comes up with it that was unresolved. So this is when we go, oh, wow, this is too much. But with everything else that comes in it brings up all the other stuff that has the same emotional intensity label. Yeah, this is why when the shit hits the fan, it's always like full on, right? And what we do when we face a situation, we don't feel able to fight, to defend ourselves or to run away from, we either freeze or faint. And what we do to freeze is we stop breathing and we tense our muscles to hold it down. So we hold the tension in our muscles and in the fascia, in this layer that's kind of around the muscles. And once the energy is brought back by the breath, like this part starts relaxing and building up, and it shows itself by in animals. You see it when they freeze, which is their last resort to survive. That the predator kind of jumps over the rabbit because it thinks it's already dead. Not interesting, right? Like collapse. They get up and they shake, and we kind of forgot how to shake, basically. But it really is a physical shaking in the body, and there's trauma release exercises that are designed around that you actually look for this vibration in the muscles. That means that they let go of the holding. So we encourage, when you start breathing and the energy builds up, to just let your body do what it needs to do. The body knows what it needs to release the tension, because it's stored in the body, it's not stored in the brain. Our brain is basically a full body brain. And what breathwork and all the other modalities does is connecting the brain to the body and allowing the body to do its job, because it knows what it needs. It's basically all these tools are designed to help us to get out of the way of the body, to let the body heal.
And then, so then when you're having an experience where something is being released, so you're doing breath in that continuous way, something is coming up, an emotion is triggered, a memory comes back, this is what it was, and then what you're saying is that don't hang on to the memory, right? So then is there any process or little technique or little trick or a way that we can not grab on to the emotion that's trying to pass through us?
It's okay to acknowledge what happened and to say, oh, this is what happened, and to connect the dots, and the trick to letting it go is the exhale. The exhale. And with the new inhale, you're creating new space inside. With the exhale, you're letting go. With the inhale, you're just inviting like new space. And ask me the question again. There was something that
Well, before I do that, firstly, what I find is quite amazing is that, I think we all do that, right? Most of the time when we're right? You're actually letting it go. There you go. So the body's doing what it's supposed to.
Let your body move and give it a sound. That's like, just give it some physical movement, giving a physical expression, kick, hit, be kind of allow yourself to be stupid, but follow your body movement, follow your body, just like give it into the body, like cry, scream, kick, whatever it means. Give yourself the space to not monitor what's going on, and give it an expression. Give it a. The problem with negative emotions is that we label them as negative. They are just energy, and energy passes. It will always pass. So if we just concentrate on the physical sensation of it, and that's also that's an interesting something I realized. Like just the other day, I was walking and then I started getting angry for no apparent reason. And then I realized that our system, our brain, actually tries to find a reason why I'm angry. Yeah, but it's just an old system. Our system is chemically wired to once in a while release stuff. And then we think, oh, why am I feeling this? Emotions are just there, feelings are just there. But then our brain thinks, oh, there must be a reason why I feel this. So then we start attaching a story to it. This is utterly unnecessary. Yeah, if you just reduce it to the physical sensation and say, oh, yeah, actually you already have put a label on it when you say I'm angry. But you say, okay, what do I actually feel in my body? Yeah, I feel a tensing like in this middle area, or whoa, I feel some heat like shooting up from my belly all the way up to my brain, you know, or more happy thing like, oh, I feel my chest expanding, you know. Just like following the sensations in the body and just being aware of what's going on, because like, we can only connect to other people if we actually can connect to ourselves, and that starts with the physical sensations, that we actually have physical boundaries and realize our physical boundaries and what's going on inside, our chemical reactions, yeah, and what our mind kind of spins around that chemical reaction, that physical sensation in the body. But you can just let it be a physical sensation and breathe through it. Just keep breathing. Keep breathing, because every time it starts feeling uncomfortable, you will realize you stop breathing. It's the best sign when you...
Thank you for that. So, by the way, you're doing really well. Core energetics. So, can you tell us a story of maybe somebody who came and did a core energetic session in a way that we understand more about what you said before?
There's so many stories, because I would basically tell you my life story, right? Because I've been on the receiving end from core energetics for 15 years before I started the training. And core energetics works with so many modalities, but it goes down to focusing on your negative belief systems, releasing that negative belief system and replacing it with something that's more useful for you. And sometimes if we can, because it's a defense system, right? It was a survival system. It helped us when it was built, character structure was built, it helped us to survive. So you can be sure your system is not letting go of that easily, right? Because it helped you survive. So things like, okay, we need this to survive. So sometimes you have to go around the corner. And one of my most astonishing experiences for me was anger issues, right? That you can do core energetics either in a group setting or in private sessions. That somebody put me in place for his rage that I didn't even think I had, right? So he said, okay, so he was external, like one tool is to externalize your emotions to make them visible to yourself. So this person said, okay, this is my love, this is my rage, or my anger issues, this is my whatever, my happiness, right? And then he picked different people in the room to represent that emotion. So I was picked for the rage. And there's something core energetics operates in, because it's also a spiritual technique. It's derived from bioenergetics, and with the spiritual component it developed into core energetics. It's operating in the quantum field. We are all connected. So I was picked for a reason, right? You think this, oh yes, accidentally, no, I was there. And a minute into the experience, I found myself like standing up, head down, screaming on the top of my lungs for I've no idea for how long. Like it was just, I opened my mouth and this scream came out. Like I just heard myself screaming. I couldn't believe it. It's me. And it was for so long until I came up and I felt like so relieved. Because it was like, for me it was a way to just kind of have this feeling and give it an expression. It's just being able to express negative feelings and release them, that's the whole key.
So go a bit deeper into that. So going a bit deeper into that, so this gentleman chose you to be his mirror for anger. So what, he was shouting at you or something? Or he was saying something to you, or?
I was just asked to say, okay, you are a representative of the anger of that person. How does that feel?
Oh, okay.
I said, I don't know really. And I said, try to give it an expression. And then it kind of, boom, it just happened to me and through me. Yeah. So another one is.
So the core energetics work. So you're there representing anger. You pretend to find some anger and you tap into actual real anger. You let that go. Then afterwards you feel just a whole lot better, like something, a weight has been lifted or something. And is that the heart of core energetics work, or?
No, and this is what I like about core energetics also. There's a second phase where you actually replace. Because then you have this void in your system, right? You have been holding that anger or that grief or that sadness for so long. So then you have, all of a sudden, you have freed that and you have this empty space. And it's replaced by something better, by something to look forward to, by a new anchoring point where you say, okay, this is where I wish to go, yeah? And in the group, this happens by positive reaffirming, by just getting the response of the group, how you look, how you feel to them, Also, the aim of core energetics is to connect, to be able to connect to yourself and to connecting to yourself and to your real feelings, to your true feelings, to be able to connect to your fellow beings. Yeah, so this is also encouraged in group work.
So I look around and there's a few people here with kids, including and I include myself. Marina, my partner's got more patience than me, but sometimes when kids, we talk about anger. I look at Lindsay, look at me going like, If you haven't got kids, it could be your friend, your best friend, or whatever. But then someone's doing that, right? And then you get pissed off or whatever it is, and you're like, ah, and you let stuff go, right? And maybe you don't feel so good afterwards because maybe the kid is looking at you going like, what was that about? or something. But then, so the real thing which I'm looking for here is that if people go through that type of stuff, they're not in a group or room with people which are assisting them, supporting them, and helping them. So then they've been through step one, which is releasing something that's within them, and they didn't realize maybe it was there. Step two is about putting something positive in to replace the void that was created. So how can you do that if you're by yourself?
What we have to realize is if we suppress our negative feelings, we suppress at the same time our positive feelings, because they are two sides of one metal. And so inherently, we are positive feeling, happy beings. It's just like when we allow ourselves without guilt, without shame, to release our negative feelings in a safe way, in hitting cushions, in kicking something soft. So it's actually what people want to do is like you get a tennis racket and you hit a cube and you scream at the top of your lungs, like you really bring out this negative. After that, you do feel relaxed, you do feel relieved, and you do feel happy for that. There's not much we actually have to put in because it's our natural state. Yeah, if all the negativity is released in a safe environment, our natural state is happiness.
I have a question about said we are inherently happy beings. and I want to believe that. But I struggle with that because if we are inherently happy beings, why is it so easy for us to fall into negative patterns? Because it would seem to me that if we were inherently happy beings, we would just habitually fall into positive patterns. So, there's a contradiction there.
Let me feel it. And I was just reading something about it, but I tried to grasp what it was. It's so funny. I know that I listened to a Pathwork lecture like this afternoon, talking exactly about that, and I'm very happy to forward it to you, but I can't remember it right now.
It's okay, it's forward.
Yeah. But it definitely has to do with trusting that things are alright, that things are going to work out just fine. And the more we can trust that, the more we're actually flowing in that side of the stream into the happy pool towards it's a lot about choice, like where you want to look at. But there's a much deeper explanation that absolutely stunned me this afternoon. So
yes, Rob did warn you that I'm one of the very questions.
Obviously not really came through yet, so that I could reproduce it easily, right?
Sorry, I couldn't notice, but to think about your questions, like our natural state is not like it can be happiness. Well, I read a lot of Bhagavad Gita and Yoga. I think it's our natural state is like stillness and the stopping of the fluctuation of the mind. So I think you can be happy too, but I think it's about more like stillness.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't call it happiness, but contentment. Yeah, it's all right. It's okay. Negative thinking usually tries to protect you from something, which is not actually happening right now.
So what's coming in is that, as you said before, about essentially our brains were developed, Neanderthal man and all the rest of that, back there in a time where danger was all around us. And our brain is like a security guard, it's trying to keep us safe all the time. And that's, I think you call it the character structure. And we all have our own character structures. The bit which I found really interesting, kind of insightful, was that thing about, I will remember, it's coming back. So when you said earlier on about, what was it? Now I don't remember. God dang! Breathe. So it was something to do with, that's it, thank you, I got it. So it was about, your body's releasing stuff all the time, and then when you said it, like, you're going for a walk, right? And then just felt angry all of a sudden, like, But the bit which made me laugh, because I can completely relate to it, is that how then your brain was trying to find a reason why you're angry, and depending on what state of mind you're in, maybe you'll find something positive, whatever, I don't know. But that's the bit which actually really got me, because it's almost going back to that, we're pre-wired to be safe, like here it's about be careful, but it's coming from that place of not necessarily of fear, but of, you know, the fact that when you're walking around with saber-toothed tigers and all this other stuff, hiding behind bushes, there's a good chance you're going to get eaten if you're not aware, you know. So your brain comes back from that. But then again, as you said, you know, things get processed all the time, emotions come up, and your brain is like, instead of just leaving it how it is, which is probably the reason why I asked you, how do you let it go? And what you were saying was like, just, the first thing you said really resonated, it was just about breathing, just, instead of attaching to it and trying to find out what it means, just breathe, exhale, you know, and just let it go, you know, and use, and feel it, but using the breath as something for your consciousness to attach to, as opposed to trying to find a reason for why you feel angry, sad, or whatever it might be. So that's a great insight that I got from what you were saying. Any other questions?
If you have negative feelings, what are they around? You know, like are they around worry? Then this is what you say, like we are wired to like always like, you know, like look around and see what. But is there anything to worry about? Like, and where do I feel it? You know, like where do I feel this negative belief? And yes, you're absolutely right. Like containment is probably a much better word than happiness. But for me, it's things, yeah. Because maybe the happiness is like not the all the time, you know, but like just feeling good in your own skin. No?
Just double check, how are we going for time? 8:30. 8:30? Okay. So we're going to wrap up soon. So hypnotherapy. So is there any little practice that comes into mind? Because I'm all for going to see a practitioner who's skilled at what they do. But also what I like is things that you can do by yourself. So things like little tools where you can, you know, you don't have to go out and see someone, pay someone, be someone. You can sit there and do it in your own space, wherever that space might be. So if there's anything that comes in.
Hypnotherapy is, we are all kind of in a semi-hypnotized state most of the day when you drive the car and you don't really follow up where you're going, and all of a sudden you're already where you are, you know, it's just like on auto focus, and our brain functions on repetition, and a lot of hypnotherapy is just positive affirmation, so you can do that yourself, you know, like the positive, talking positively to yourself. That's also one point I really like to go into a little bit. It's like when people say like positive thinking is such a good thing, but if positive thinking, which works as your self-hypnotizing, in repetition, makes you believe, kind of builds pattern, is going to be your lifestyle, is going what is happening to you, but it is, in my opinion, not a good tool to code like your issues with positive thinking, because golden shit is still shit, right? I mean, it's like, it's really feeling the feelings, allowing the negative feelings to be there, allowing them to be acknowledged, to be recognized, to be expressed. That can be something like, really, 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 really hate you today. That's it. Just give it a form of like, I could just like, I'm so angry with you, I just really could kick you. Yeah, give it a verbal expression, a physical expression, and a mental expression, and name it, give it a physical expression, and something. Movement, do something with it, and then replace it by what would I rather like, and this is a positive emotion. So instead of this, what would I rather prefer to have, and this is where you kind of set your compass, and we're not setting the compass and turning this way and then around, I'm thinking negative all day and now I'm thinking all positive. is just not working because you're basically not going anywhere, but it's about setting your compass like half a degree every day, and soon enough, also allows you much more control over where you are going, because you can follow up. Core energetics is basically about choosing what you want to do, having the capacity to choose, because if you're still stuck in this old negative belief system, you don't have choice. You function to your survival modus. You just do what your system wants to do, and then you think, shit, I did it again. Instead of acknowledging that you actually do have negative feelings, get them up, release them, give them some expression in a safe environment, and then choose what would you rather want to do with your life.
You have a question?
Yes, but do you have time?
I think we've got time for one question.
Yeah, I just want to ask, because I did hypnotherapy before. Is it possible that when you're doing the hypnotherapy and then the therapist is going into your subconscious mind, and then you just block it, like your body blocks it, so it doesn't work? Does it happen? Like the body rejects it, or the mind?
Yes, because for me, hypnotherapy is not taking over control over somebody's subconscious, but kind of this is also why I ask, like, where are you now and where do you want to go? And I help somebody to go where they want to go, instead of like me being on the pitch and controlling them. And if your system rejects it, it might be a good idea, but maybe you're not ready for it. And I really do believe in choice, in that the people have to choose themselves where they want to go, because then you're not going to reject what is suggested. If you have chosen what is suggested to you in hypnosis, you're not likely to reject it.
Okay, thank you.
So I've got that one. Thanks, Thank you. Okay, so we're just past 8:30. So one thing I just want to do is acknowledge you for doing a great job. Well done, really, really. I mean, I think Adrian loves to take notes, which is awesome. And but there's at least 3 tools in there that people can take away with them. The 2 breathing ones, which I'm definitely going to do, and just that fact of, not trying to positive think it, but just to release it out of your body by doing an action, mentally, emotionally, physically, verbally, get it out, and just then replace it with what would I rather, and then maybe put that positive in, that's a great way of doing it. That's an awesome tool.
And the beautiful thing is, like, the saying is, like, therapists heal alongside their clients. I learned something too from that. Like, I actually basically convinced myself again that this is the right way to do it, right?
Yeah. So look, for everybody else, a very intimate crowd, but I've got this understanding that whoever's supposed to be there is supposed to be there, and we'll have you back again. And to do a different presentation, maybe do something with us, some more breathing work, or one of the core energetic works, because I'm into it. Love doing that stuff in the body.
Yeah. We could do some body-mind classes, or some grounding classes, like really grounding exercises to help you to have your feet firmly on the ground, so that your head can kind of look around, like has more space to look around. Yeah.
I also really love, having conversations like this and doing things which actually the people can apply, right? Because quite often you might go to something and it's great conversational piece, but you don't leave with anything necessarily. I love to leave with something that you can physically do to give you an instant result or shift something for you, and you've definitely done that.
Yeah, and definitely. Like, every conscious breath counts. Just keep on observing your breathing, like, without altering it or anything. But keep looking. Do I breathe? Because most of the time when we look, we don't breathe.
So
yeah, just by monitoring your breathing, you're doing a great job. You don't have to do any mindfulness classes, so you are mindful of your breathing, you're mindful of where you are, and you are present.
And the last thing I say is that I really got as well that when your body does something, just let it do that thing. Because it's, as you said, the body is the biggest brain that you really have, right? And it knows what it wants to do. It's just that quite often...
Be weird,
just,
really.
Yeah, but just kind of go with it. Awesome. So guys, round of applause for Tanya. So God, here till 9 o'clock and then everyone's going to keep